Hey there, fellow classic comic collectors. As always, I'm Scott Harris King, and today I'm back with another movie reaction. Now, I'm doing a few of these recently. I don't know whether anyone actually likes them. I get a lot of views, but very few comments, so I don't know if you're going to like this or not. But today, we're going to be talking about Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness, and I had to do a video for this. I wasn't really planning on doing one, but I had to do one because I have very strong feelings about this film. There's going to be a lot of spoilers. I have to spoil the whole film in order to really discuss this. So just to let you know before you get any further, if you don't want to be spoiled, don't watch the rest of the video. And that's actually the first thing I'm going to talk about in a second is spoilers for this. Because I got spoiled for this movie in one of the most irritating ways possible. It's so aggravating. But I'm just going to give you a couple seconds here to shut the video off before we get into the spoilers. So before I actually get into the movie again, I just want to talk a little bit about the spoiler. So basically what happened was there was some kind of leak a few days before the movie came out here in the US. I don't know if it was like a sneak preview or if it released overseas earlier or what, but someone recorded on their phone a few key moments and it released, and then other people copied it, and so blah, blah, blah. Whatever. Here's what really irritated me is that I work very hard not to be spoiled. I hate spoilers. I absolutely hate spoilers. I know there are the people that like spoilers, and I don't understand that mindset. I don't know why you wouldn't want to be surprised. Like, it just boggles me. The whole idea of getting spoilers is just... and people that intentionally spoil things for other people are... There's like, it was in Dante's Inferno. I don't remember if it was the 18th level of hell. But anyway. But it's fine because I know that I don't like spoilers, and so I make sure not to get spoiled. I work very hard to avoid this, right? However, people were uploading them on YouTube, and that, shouldn't be happening, because the way YouTube works is when you put the video up, they do a check to make sure that it's not copyrighted material, and if there's a problem, they'll flag it or pull it down. And so I don't know how these videos got in the first place, but the big problem was not only was YouTube allowing people to put these videos of pirated movie clip spoilers on their site, it was YouTube itself that put the video in my recommended videos feed. So when I opened up YouTube on the main page, the first video that it was showing me had a thumbnail spoiling the movie with a title spoiling the movie. And 3 different times the day before the movie came out, YouTube recommended me a different spoiler video that spoiled part of the movie for me. YouTube did that. So aggravating. But let's talk about the movie, because I also didn't like the movie. I didn't dislike as much as I dislike YouTube itself right now. But I have very strong feelings about this film, and I just had to sort of not really vent, but it just had a lot to work through here, because I'm a big fan of the MCU. In general, I like superhero movies. Obviously, I'm a comic book collector. I'm a superhero fan. And typically, I've enjoyed the Marvel movies more than the DC movies, but I'm not really someone that's like, DC versus Marvel. I hate all that stuff. It's just I haven't liked the direction of a lot of the DC movies. Whereas the Marvel ones, they're not all great, but the ones that, for me, there's like a floor for the Marvel movies where none of them have been any worse for me than like a C. There's been a few of them that I didn't think were that great, but they were inoffensively boring at worst. And even those, because there wasn't anything I really minded in them, there was still some fun bits here and there. So I was still able to enjoy something like Incredible Hulk, or the first Thor movie had some good parts, but whatever. The second Thor movie was not very good, but even it wasn't terrible. It was okay. Iron Man 2 was a mess, blah, 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 but it had some fun stuff setting up Avengers. So generally, I've liked all the MCU stuff. I've liked everything that Marvel Studios has done. Didn't like some of the stuff that Marvel Television was doing. I'm not a big fan of all of the Netflix shows. But I've watched all 24 movies, all the Marvel, the Disney Plus shows, and I've liked all of them until now. And it has to do with a couple different things. But the big one really for me was the scene with the Illuminati. So uh, if you're watching this, I'm assuming you already know what's going on in the movie, but there's a part where they go to another universe and they meet the Illuminati, and we get introduced to, for the first time in the MCU, versions of Mr. Fantastic and Professor X. We also get Captain Carter, which is a version where where Peggy Carter took the super soldier serum during World War II, and we get like an alternate version of Captain Marvel, where it's Maria Rambeau who became Captain Marvel, and then Black Bolt is there. And in this world, Doctor Strange has died. Um, to protect the world, they had to kill him. So Baron Mordo is the Sorcerer Supreme, and he's part of the Illuminati, and he's one of the good guys, right? So, supposed to be the cool fan service moment where we get all these cool characters, right? And then what happens is the Scarlet Witch, I'm going to talk a lot about her in a little bit, shows up, and she's evil. She's just full on evil through the whole movie. And she horribly murders all of them in about 3 minutes. Just like horribly murders them all. And I absolutely hated it. I hated it. There's a thing that has been going on in comics for the last, say, 20 years or so, but it was particularly the last 15, where that I would call like superhero murder porn, where the gratuitous shock murders of superheroes, disposable superheroes and supervillains that will just get killed off because it's supposed to be, I don't know, what's the word I'm looking for here? Transgressive, right? Like, you expect with the superheroes and these guys with the superpowers that they're gonna have plot immunity, right? And so there's like this thrill when you don't expect a superhero to just like get shot and they die, and or like in a couple panels that you expect a guy, if the guy's in a costume with powers, he's gonna save the day or survive, but no, he's horribly murdered. And I absolutely hate this. It's like lowest common denominator garbage. It's Mark Miller level like writing, where they just kill off superheroes for the fun of it. And I don't find it fun. I don't like that sort of thing in any genre, but specifically, it's just like, it just feels like a lot of stuff in sort of modern edgelord comics to be people trying to be more mature, and they ended up seeming like a giggling 10-year-old boy who that version of what mature and adult is, right? It's just dumb, and I don't like it. So to have that scene where you're excited to see these characters, and then just like have them just like murdered basically for the laughs of it, just really didn't sit well with me. I just find that sort of thing gross. And I know a lot of people don't, but I do. So I really had an issue with that. There's other issues though, as part of this, like another problem that I have with them specifically doing this with the alternate version characters is that it really opens up a Pandora's box here with the multiverse and how you're going to use characters from the multiverse. It already had, just having the multiverse where you can have alternate versions of characters makes it so that death is kind of it cheapens the whole idea of death, because so Black Widow sacrificed herself at the end of Endgame, but we can just bring in an alternate universe Black Widow, right? So that's conceptually a problem, but here in this, we actually see it become a problem in the movies, because if you're just going to bring in like all these different versions of the characters, it makes them kind of pointless, and it makes their deaths pointless, especially when they're played for laughs like this. It's just like, so what are we, how are we supposed to feel when we now get introduced to the real MCU version of Mr. Fantastic, when we've already seen him, and the first time we see him get horribly murdered because he acts like a complete moron and is totally ineffectual and is arrogant and just like comes across like an idiot, which is the other problem that I have with it is, and we see this a lot. The 616, the main Marvel universe, because it's the main Marvel universe, is always the most important. And it's also the only universe, apparently, where anybody is competent. So you get all these alternate universe stories, even in the comics, where you have the alternate universe Avengers, and they've always just, like, they did something wrong. Something killed them all, or they're all corrupted, or something like that, right? And the Illuminati are so ineffectual. We get this flashback sequence where we're told that they defeated Thanos. But after seeing how they dealt with the Scarlet Witch, I was like, how on earth did these goofballs ever beat Thanos, unless in that universe Thanos was also a complete moron? Because the way they face off against the Scarlet Witch, it's pure arrogance. First of all, they're just so smug, like, we beat Thanos, so we know everything, and Black Bolt gives this like super obnoxious smirk just before he's horribly murdered. It's just, they're so ineffectual. It's embarrassing, right? It's embarrassing that Professor Xavier is stuck with these guys, because he's the only one that seems like he has anything going on, but even he dies in like 10 seconds. So it just makes the heroes look stupid across the board. It was so bad. It was so annoyingly bad, and didn't make any sense. So they know that the Scarlet Witch, this incredibly powerful witch using black magic, right, is attacking their headquarters. And what do? They go to face her, except they leave one person behind. And the person they leave behind, it's the Sorcerer Supreme. Yes, Baron Mordo stays in the room with Doctor Strange just monologuing at him, and he's like, well, when the rest of them get back from just disposing of the Scarlet Witch easily, when they get back, we're going to pass judgment on you. And I'm like, why would you not take the only person there qualified to deal with magic to fight a magician? It didn't make any freaking sense. So it was just like, oh, it was so bad. It was so frustrating, and it was just gross. Again, I keep using that word, but it was just like, it was just murder porn, and I don't want that in my comics. I knew going in that this was a horror movie, and that's not my thing, but Marvel's had a really good track record of doing different genre films within the structure of the MCU. Like the Falcon and Winter Soldier is like a 70s spy movie, and it's the best. Not the Falcon and Winter Soldier. I mean, sorry, the Captain America and the Winter Soldier. That movie, just the best. But this, like, they went too far with this Illuminati stuff for me. The other thing that they went too far with, this is sort of a to be determined, but the treatment of the Scarlet Witch was just, she's a full-on villain, right? She's just full-on gone into super villain mode, and she murders everybody, has no remorse whatsoever for anything that she does, and is just a vile, monstrous person. And so I had problems with her for this exact reason in WandaVision, but in WandaVision it's sort of like, it's a show about dealing with trauma, and so her powers sort of go out of control, and she doesn't realize that she's sort of doing this stuff, and at the end she gets this redemption moment where she basically lets everyone go, and that's supposed to be the big redeeming moment, and I never bought that. That was like, the show was really good till last episode, and then last episode just torpedoed it, because the other characters like Monica Rambeau is basically trying to tell her, no, you did the right thing at the end, so it's okay that you just enslaved all these people and made their lives a living hell for weeks. And I was like, no, it's not. But here we find out that at the end of that, her big takeaway from that, after all that, was I'm going to do the same thing again, but on a much bigger and worse scale. So after we get the teaser at the end of WandaVision where we see her studying the Darkhold, and you're like, okay, maybe we're missing something here because that's like a book of evil. Why is Wanda, studying this? But then we find out here is that after the events of Westview in the WandaVision show, she wasn't remorseful at all. In fact, she just doubled down. She was like, you know what? Okay, that actually worked. I just need to do it on a much bigger scale. And so the real issue I have with this, I've never been a big fan of Wanda, but I hated Disassembled. And this is basically Wanda from Disassembled times like 12. Because in Disassembled, Wanda doesn't have full control of her, she doesn't have her capacities here. But in the movie, she does, right? And so there's sort of a thing where like, well, the Darkhold's got a hold of her. Nope, that doesn't fly with me. Sorry. That doesn't fly because the Darkhold did not have a hold of her at the end of WandaVision. She intentionally used it to do this. So it's not like the Darkhold corrupted her and turned her evil. It was a choice. So one thing that they do, of course, is they have this whole thing with Wanda interacting with an alternate world Wanda on the world of the Illuminati, right? And she basically takes over that Wanda's body and uses the other version of Wanda to kill everything. And at the end, the other version of Wanda is like, Scarlet Witch, our version of Wanda, realizes, oh, well, this isn't going to work after all because she can't make the kids love her. And the kids see her as a monster. And she realizes, oh, no, I am a monster. A little late for that. But you get the idea that either they're going to, even though Wanda supposedly dies at the end, you get the idea that either they're going to bring her back for some kind of redemption arc, or they're going to bring in an alternate universe version of Wanda. And neither of those work at all for me. For me, what happened with Wanda in this movie is the equivalent of the Dark Phoenix saga in the comics. In the Dark Phoenix saga, famously, John Byrne drew in the thing where Dark Phoenix blew up this other planet and killed like 1 trillion people. And when Jim Shooter saw that, he put down an editorial edict that she had to die because she was originally not supposed to die in issue 137. Jean was gonna get free of the influence of the Phoenix Force and was gonna return to her regular self, having beaten this evil influence, right? And Jim Shooter said, no, we can't have a hero in the Marvel Universe who committed genocide and destroyed an entire planet. That's exactly how I feel here. There's no redemption arc possible for Wanda. She chose to be this horrible mass murderer. So there's no redemption for that. At the end of the movie, she collapses the building on herself to keep anyone else from doing it. That's the closest we're going to get to any redemption. I don't want to see anything else with her in any form, with any version. Because, frankly, the alternate version of her is not that great either. It's just boggling to me that, okay, the alternate universe version of Wanda gets possessed by this demonic spirit from another dimension. And who takes over her body, right? And uses her to murder all of the world's greatest superheroes and all sorts of other people that are at the facility, just killing all of these scientists and just murdering everybody left and right. Okay, so in the sequence, what happens is she's like tucking the kids in her bed or something like that, and then the Scarlet Witch takes her over and she flies off. And what happens when she finally gets free of Wanda's influence? She goes, oh my gosh, my kids! And then she flies home. And I just about went to the ceiling. I was like, you just murdered dozens of people, including all of your world's greatest superheroes. And she has powers in this world. So the assumption on my part, we don't know, is that she was in the Illuminati or knows the other superheroes. She clearly has powers that she knows how to use, right? So there's no moment where she's like, oh my god, what did I do, or anything like that, or my friends, or I can't believe that just happened, or there's blood on my hands, or any of that. Her thought is, oh, I've got to get back to my kids. Your kids are sleeping. Your kids are asleep. And then there's nothing. The next time we see her, she's just back playing patty cake with her stupid kids in their stupid little house. And so I'm like, this Wanda on the other world apparently doesn't care about anybody else either. She's so obsessed with these children that all sense of morality has completely escaped her body. I just like, her kids were fine. There were two kids that were sleeping in a house by themselves. Whatever. Big deal. So what? They're going to be fine. How about you go back and check on the people that you just like slaughtered? Maybe some of them are still alive. Maybe you should go back to the Illuminati headquarters. So I just really, really didn't like a lot of aspects of this. It's the first MCU project that I really have issues with. And not for nothing, but one of the weirdest parts about it is they didn't really tie it in with anything. So it was so weird that it comes right after Doctor Strange he messes up in the Spider-Man movie, where because the spell gets messed up, these doors to other worlds in the multiverse open up and people are coming through, and there's an incursion, which is a whole plot line here, and this whole movie is all about incursions, where the two worlds like come together like in Crisis, and if you have to keep them apart or else one of them will blow up, right? And so there's only one line about what happened to Spider-Man, and it's not even a full sentence. I think he gets interrupted partway through it. So there's actually no connection between the multiverse stuff in the last movie and the multiverse stuff in this movie. There doesn't seem to be any connection between the multiverse stuff in this movie and the stuff that's going on in Loki, which is supposed to be tying into Ant-Man. There was no connections between any of these things. So it just didn't make any sense to me that they would set it up like that and then not actually pay it off. So I don't know. It was just a lot of missed opportunities, a lot of mistakes, a lot of bad decisions, and I don't know, man. I don't know. So anyway, I'm going to stop now. Tell me down below what you think. I wanted to love this movie, but it just really left a bad taste in my mouth. How did you feel?